In this video, we introduce the basic concepts of friction force. Please subscribe us to be informed about our new videos. Please see the video to the end to understand all its concepts. Many people make mistakes in solving friction problems. Friction is the force that acts to resist sliding between two surfaces that are touching. The force of friction prevents two objects from slipping on each other. Friction is a force. We examined the concept of force in part 20 and later. Suppose one object is on top of another. When we apply force, a force of friction is created, and it opposes the sliding of the body. What is the microscopic reason for the friction force? This is because, when an object slides, even though its surface appear to be smooth, but it is not in microscopic point of view. That is, the object's surface has very small microscopic roughness, that cannot be seen with the naked eye. At these points the surfaces are very close to each other. Because of this, they weld together. Therefore, the main cause of friction force is welding between two surface molecules. For example, when we push a cupboard on the floor is damaged. This is due to welding, so we must be careful. Tip: the force of friction is opposite to the direction of slip of the body. But if we say that friction is in the opposite direction of the movement, we may be wrong. This is important, because it can help us to prevent mistakes in concept and problem.
Example. Here, when we apply force to the object to the right with the hand, the object slides to the right, and the force of friction is to the left. In this example, friction is the opposite direction of motion. It is also in the opposite direction of slipping. Because slipping and moving are both in the same direction. But in the next example this is not the case. Example. A car starts moving. Which direction is the direction of the friction force? Answer. The direction of movement of the car is to the right. But the direction of sliding of the wheels is to the left. Pay attention to this part of the wheel. So that the car moves to the right, this part tends to move to the left. Suppose there is an obstacle in front of the car, or the road is slippery, then the tire slips. So if the tire spins, this part slides to the left, so the friction force is to the right. So in this motion, the force of friction is to the right, and the direction of motion of the car is also to the right. So we cannot say that the force of friction is against the direction of motion, but we can say that it is against the direction of slip. The same is true of the man movement. That is, when a man goes to the right, the force of friction on the man is forward.
Tip: the force of friction does not depend on the area of the contact surface, it depends on the material, the condition of the two surfaces, and the vertical force. Example. We pull a rectangular cube object on a surface in different case. In which case is the friction force greater? Answer. We first place the object on its larger surface. Now place the object on its middle surface. Then we place its body on its smaller surface. In all three cases the magnitude of the friction force is equal. What is the reason? Because the force of friction depends on the welding of two surfaces, and in these two cases the number of welding points is equal. Tip: if we increase the vertical force applied to the body, the force of friction will increase. Notice this object: if we increase the vertical force, the friction force also increases, and if we decrease the vertical force, the friction force decreases. This is because, as the vertical force increases, the number of points that are welded together increases, and the friction force increases.
Is friction always harmful? Answer: no. Sometimes friction is useful, for example, when walking, or when moving a car, or when braking. Of course, sometimes it causes unwanted heat, and wastes energy. Question: how can friction be reduced? Answer: there are many ways. For example, we can use wheels, or use a magnet. Sometimes lubricant, or airflow, are also used.
In this part, we explain the concepts of friction force. In the next part, we will explain the computational problems of friction.